I'll start with just clarifying my story. So, for the last 9 or so years, it's been potently clear to me that there are better ways to live, more ethical, meaningful ways to live, and less better ways to live. And I've been trying to figure that out, trying to figure out how to do that. Uh, First, it started with philosophy in university. Studied a lot of ethics, a lot of old dead dudes who wrote about what seemed like really important things. I liked that a lot and studied that for a while. Uh, and then by the end of university, I still didn't really have a clear idea of what to do with my life. So I went into a bit of a dark period where it wasn't so clear how to live this kind of ethical, meaningful life that I thought I wanted. Uh, yeah, it was a pretty dark year. And then somewhere in that year, I had some friends who showed me that I could do things again. They showed me that there are ways to structure my life in a way that I can be productive, that I can take action. And that sort of pulled me out of this rut, out of this gutter. And after that, I was just searching for the next step in life after university, and ended up finding something called effective altruism, which I think all of us are like pretty familiar with at this point. Great. So I'll just be quick then about what my sense of effective altruism is then and now. So when I first found out about effective altruism, uh, it just shocked me that I could see the world in a way that was less about what I wanted in my own perspectives and more about analyzing the problems of the world. I think before I found effective altruism, I was very limited in terms of being able to actually do the thing, actually live an ethical life. I was very limited in being able to help others because I was mostly just thinking about my own skills and my own goals and my own perspectives. I wasn't really looking out into the world. So early on, that's what effective altruism was to me. It was looking out into the world and looking for what other people thought were the world's biggest problems and sort of weighing these, trying to understand them, trying to take on more perspectives, more diverse perspectives, gather different kinds of information to build a more comprehensive worldview, to make sure that the altruism we're doing, the kind of things we're doing, aren't just kind according to our own views, but according to other people, according to broader and broader swaths, more broader and broader circles of people. So I really like that. That lasted for quite a few years, and I learned a lot more about effective altruism through community building. So I think, as most of y'all know, I've been doing this effective altruism community building thing for about 3 years now. I was very lucky and very surprised to get a grant early on to be able to like support myself in the work, and that enabled me to just focus in on community building. So I've always had this weird relationship with effective altruism, where I think from the very start I was sort of working on more like meta stuff. I was working on just getting people together as opposed to raising money and donating that, or working on research for a cause more directly. I did a little bit of that, but mostly just interacting with people, sharing ideas. And throughout that process, I never thought I was doing enough good. There was always something sort of nagging at a part of me to do more, to grow the movement more. And at the same time, there was an uncertainty about how much good effective altruism was doing, whether it was the answer to all my sort of problems, my lack of meaning in life. And yeah, I just kept sort of investing effort into that. And it was working out pretty well. But eventually, 2020 came around. And by this time, by the start of 2020, I had realized that I think the problem wasn't so much with the main things holding me back weren't so much relating to effective altruism. They were relating to the way I was approaching effective altruism, the way just sort of personal issues in my own life, personal blockages. For instance, using the resources of effective altruism, careers resources, using 80,000 hours to help people by taking that information and sharing it with people. Seems like a good thing to do. I like sort of caught myself on a few occasions, like looking at people as if they were either suited for these 80,000 hour roles or not suited. And there was a part of me that was like, if someone's suited for these roles, I can work with them, I can help them. And if someone's not suited for these roles, I just don't really know what to do. And for some reason, there was a voice inside me that was not okay with that wasn't okay with just the sort of exclusivity of effective altruism. I'm not still discovering why that pattern is there today, but there was something that was telling me I could do more to help pretty much everyone I could interact with, and do more to just move through my work with energy, with excitement, the kind that I had when I started 3 years ago. It sort of died down. Yeah, and COVID was just hard. I think a lot of you saw my message. A lot of mixed feelings about how I faced those challenges. Yeah. So at this point, I'll introduce the second layer of the story. So effective altruism was something I've been interested in for the last 3.5 years. I've actually been interested in Buddhism for about 10 or so years now, but never particularly strongly or clearly. It was just sort of hanging out in the background. There's a story, the story I tell about it is that when I was a teenager, I was quite into grunge music, into the band Nirvana. And I found myself just getting bored with the repetition of life, with that sort of grunge wannabe rock star lifestyle. And I don't know what happened, but someday I found myself Googling this band I like, Nirvana, and I wound up on zenguide.com. And that opened something up for me. I must have been like 15 years old, and I started meditating just on my own. No idea what I was doing. Just started going based off of this website. And I thought I had like sort of these Buddhist superpowers for a little while. And then I could see things far away. Yeah, it's all, none of that sort of stuck around. It just sort of, I was doing this weird Buddhist thing, I thought it was a Buddhist thing. I was trying, on a Zen guide, and I was trying, but I didn't take it that far. I just stuck with that for a few months, and then sort of faded into the background of my life. And throughout university, yeah, I would do some mental health meditation programs a little bit. I'd get involved in different kinds of things, but there's a sense that Buddhism was cool, but I had no idea what it was. And then in 2019, in the start of 2019, I went on one of the Vipassana Goenka retreats that some of you may have heard of. These free retreats, long waiting list, but oh my God, they're free. How do they do this? I went on this retreat. So I'll resume. So throughout university, I was doing some Buddhist stuff. And then after university, I was doing some light meditation, nothing really Buddhist. And then I tried out this Goenka, this Vipassana retreat. And I think that was the first time I actually could sort of taste not just meditation, but that there was something else going on with Buddhism. That Buddhism was doing ethics, and it was just different than I was used to from my studies in philosophy. There's something very different happening there that I was sort of drawn to, that I was curious about. Uh, and it also, that retreat also just showed me that meditation worked. Uh, that something about my mind was different. I I don't I can't like put a point on what that was, but I just felt something different. And then I felt it fade after I came home from the retreat. Uh, so, so there's something there to explore. Something there to explore. This tool, this path. So now these two layers, the EA layer and the Buddhist layer, for me, start to converge around the start of 2020, where I've been doing EA community building for 2 or so years at this point, and I've sort of lost the fire in some ways. Uh, Still doing events, but like my creativity, a lot of the newness and freshness has sort of faded away. But it still seems really damn important. So I'm just like, why am I not throwing myself into this more fully? Why am I not showing up with all this energy? And then COVID hits. I just get further derailed on my EATO plans. And at that point, I had a choice to make. Thanks to Narayan, thanks to something called the Think Better retreat, I had met some people who were trying to do something that was kind of like effective altruism. They were trying to train as leaders to then go back out to the world, to go back out to the workforce, or to work from monastic training center to be of use in the world. I had gone to this thing called the Think Better retreat. Maggie was there, Narayan was there, Yuli was there, and we something about that retreat allowed me to sort of step away from parts of my identity, parts of just holding and clinging to this EA identity, and just like get loosen that a bit. And as COVID was coming along, I had some decisions to make about, I can work remotely now. Community building is sort of different now that it's local, non-local community building, online community building. So I thought it's about time to give this meditation thing, this Buddhism thing, another try. I'd been exposed to some of the resources of something called the Monastic Academy, a place related to the place I'm staying now. And this place, as I was saying, it seemed to be doing something similar to effective altruism. Oh God, let's see too. So we are in this place in my life where I decided to come to Willow way before it opened, to train with the goal of being a more capable person, a more capable effective altruist. Like at the least, I'll get to meditate a bunch, and Buddhism, maybe it's like that rationality training. It'll help me be a more effective altruist. So I came, and then a few weeks later, through the changes I experienced here personally, just in those first few weeks, it was very clear to me that I had some just sort of personal issues laying under the surface that were preventing me from like having and holding energy and stepping into more like sort of power and leadership in effective altruism Toronto. I like saw all these ways in which I was sort of holding myself back. Some of them still there now, but lots to work on. And I also saw the power of living with other people who are doing similar things. I saw how effective altruism Toronto as a community was an extremely different kind of community than Willow, where people live together, where people train together every day. It's like sort of deep deep community, deep friendship thing. And that's the setting I've been living in for the last 10 months. I've been living at this place where every day we get up at about 6 in the morning. We welcome Logan. Sorry about the technical stuff. I'll continue my talk. So, uh, so we get up quite early. We chant. We meditate. How does this relate to effective altruism? Very, very early on, I noticed it sort of increasing my capacity, my energy level, my care for others, my ability to show up for others. I had these moments where through events at Willow, I'd realized that I'd hosted meetings like this, dozens of meetings, but I hadn't sort of taken the time to individually connect with people in the room, to sort of try to support people, acknowledge them, to try to collaborate and listen to people more deeply to what they actually wanted, what they could actually offer the world, beyond just a few stories I had about what value meant to effective altruists. Yeah. So that leaves me where I am today, in this point where effective altruism, Buddhism, at least for me and my life, have sort of flowed together such that I see the training I'm doing here as increasing my capacity to be a good effective altruist, to be a person. Cool. So now I'll talk about what Buddhism is, because I think a lot of people are more familiar with effective altruism. So now I'll talk about Buddhism more. So first distinction I'll make is between more practice-oriented Buddhism and more belief-oriented Buddhism. I'm a big fan of this book. It's Stephen Batchelor's Buddhism Without Beliefs. And I'm not saying that Buddhism shouldn't have beliefs, but I'm saying that there are many different kinds of Buddhism, many different forms of Buddhist practice, and that the kind I've been used to over the last 10 months, I think, can go hand in hand with a secular worldview. And I think there's more to life than a lot of what EA seemed to offer me earlier on. I think I was seeing EA as more of a worldview over the last few years. I was sort of totalizing, trying to take over, motivate. A lot of my actions and behaviors caused a lot of good things to happen, like meeting new folks, but also caused some anguish. And I think what it didn't help me with at the end of the day was something that I now see as the most important part of the training I'm doing here, and it relates to why I came here in the first place, came to Willow in the first place, and it's about trustworthiness. So the real thing that why I came to, the real underlying reason why I came to Willow is because a part of me didn't have trust in both myself and in effective altruism, and this was sort of a more of an embodied feeling than something I could logically prove. This was more of a yeah. Oh, I'm feeling a little sick now for some reason, but I'll continue. Yeah. So there's a talk by someone named Sori Forel, which He's the head teacher of Monastic Academy of Maple, and in it he goes over uh, what makes a trustworthy organization. He talks about Zen monasteries as this model of a trustworthy, of a potentially trustworthy organization. And the way he describes it in the talk, it's called The Power of the Guru, was kind of shocking to me. It seemed like having just one person in control, uh, the sort of Roshi, the Zen master, would not lead to trustworthiness and functioning. I was more used to structures that flowed, that used uh, like a not-for-profit. Like that was my model. That's how effective altruism is working. That's what makes a trustworthy organization. But in this talk, what I got to see was that a lot of organizations they diffuse blame. They they sort of diffuse responsibility. They diffuse leadership. When a problem happens in not for profit, it's often unclear. What should you blame the board? Should you blame the specific employees involved? But in a Zen monastery, it's very clear. There's accountability. You look to the teacher. You look to the roshi, uh, and you, in that way, have a system of discovering whose fault something is. Oh man, I think I'm just gonna be real with you guys. I think I'm getting like more nervous by the minute for some reason. Yeah, I'm feeling like kind of sick and stuff. So I think I will open this up to discussion.